welcome. As the choir so beautifully said, you are welcome here. My name is Reverend Christina Branum-Martin. I'm the minister here at Emerson UU Congregation. And there's a special welcome for those of you visiting for the first time, or for those coming back after an absence, or for those of us joining online. We hope that you are nourished with your heart and your mind and your soul. As a Unitarian Universalist congregation, we welcome a wide variety of theological beliefs, and we honor the inherent worth and dignity of every being. So in that sense, whoever you are, whatever you bring, whatever your needs are, we are here to welcome you. We have social time after the service. When you go out this door, you'll find a room in the back with coffee and lots of things to eat, and usually sweet things abound. Then after that, we go to a religious exploration time where the children have their own groups and adults are welcome to join in different things such as service reflections here in the sanctuary or additional offerings that are listed in your order of service. At this time, I welcome Michael to come help me light the chalice.
Our words this morning are from Reverend Tellis Whitfield. With the kindling of our flame, we recognize the fragility of life and our own vulnerability as we navigate challenges that always seem to come. May this light remind us of the strength we possess as individuals and collectively as a community to lean into and respond, finding our way forward together.
Now, in the spirit of love and beloved community, we will greet each other after we share our congregational affirmation. We need not think alike to love alike. Please feel free to stand and greet your neighbor. Good morning, lovely. Beautiful to see you. Thank you, Mr. Michael.
Our opening words this morning are from Reverend Gretchen Haley. In a world that feeds on moral outrage, we are here to cultivate moral courage. In a time that prizes picking sides, we gather to draw a wider circle. In a culture that teaches us to get for what we give and ask, what is it in for me? We come to practice generosity and remember, we all are in here together. In the midst of life's bitterness, we choose to sing, to give thanks, to laugh together, and to be the keepers of beauty, to offer a place belonging for all who come in gladness and in pain. To resist the push for the next moment, and for the next to slow down, to breathe more deeply, to feel a part of something greater. For this hour and in this place, let us be the change we wish to see. Come, Let us worship together. And now, please rise and body our voice as we join together in song, as we sing the gray hymnal. That's a teal hymnal, actually. It's the wrong one. Number 1000. I think it's even got the wrong number in here. That's okay.
We pause now to reflect and acknowledge the matters of our heart. And thank you, Michael, for helping us with this ritual. What you'll see in his hand are stones. Stones that are smooth, yet they have weight. They are indicative of life's both pleasures and times of ease, as well as our burdens and the heaviness that those carry. And the water receives the stones with ease and calmness. Each week, you'll find in the back of the sanctuary this book. And in here, you can write the things that you are carrying in your heart, a joy, a sorrow, or a concern. And if you're at home and it's 3 a.m. and you can't sleep and you want to make sure we know what you are carrying, you can email us at pastoralcare@emersonuu.org. If you are at home, you can find something or even hold an imaginary stone in your hand and place it in a bowl of water. Perhaps in the weeks to come, you can set this up at home for you. We begin by placing 3 stones. The first is to honor the Cherokee and the Muskogee nations of indigenous peoples who lived here before us. The second is for those wrongly enslaved here who labored on this land. And the third are for those who are in current conflicts around the globe. Within our community, we have a few things to share. I want to let you know that we sent an email out to the membership stating that our own Minister Emeritus, Jeff Jones, was placed in arrest this past week. He participated in a physical protest at the Atlanta Police Training Center, known as Cop City. He and 4 others were arrested on Thursday, and they were in custody until late on Saturday afternoon. This was much longer than expected for people that had not been charged yet. And as we know, Jeff is also a vegan and had trouble maintaining food that he needed. Another person who was arrested was the minister of Atlanta Metro, Metro Atlanta North, UMAN. Reverend Dave Dunn, the minister there, is home along with Jeff, and they are resting. They were released without bond on their own reconnaissance, and Carol and Jeff are so glad to have him home. May we join with them in solidarity. We thank him and the others for their efforts in the broader community to bring more peace, more justice, and to maintain democracy in our world. May they remain safe as they continue to do their work. And on a celebratory note, as Jeff and Carol are at home, they also celebrate tomorrow their 30th wedding anniversary. Russell Jackson shares that my older brother passed away last week from kidney failure. Although he was 8 years older than me, he was my idol in my preschool years. He will be sorely missed by me and extended family. Another by Anna Tomic. We lost Dad a year ago. I miss my dad a lot, but I know his spirit is here, even though we cannot see him. And we share another stone, this one in joy. We are so excited, says the Hausman family, to share that we are expecting. Christy is 14 weeks pregnant with a baby boy that we are eager to meet on March 9th. And will you add one final stone? There are times in which we are carrying things, sometimes a joy, but often a sorrow, that we are not ready to share. And this stone is for all of those things that just haven't found their words yet. In thankful awareness, let's say the Buddhist prayer of loving kindness.
Good morning. I am Mary Miller, and I am on the Social Justice Leadership Team. The Cobb County Democracy Center is our September partner organization for Share the Basket. Today, we are honored to welcome Dr. Monica Wills Brown, their chief organizer. Dr. Brown has served as a secondary teacher, a district coordinator of federal programs, a governing charter school board member, and executive director for a charter school. She works as a researcher, and she has published articles and a book chapter in the areas of school finance policy, state-level budgeting systems, and culturally responsive leadership practices and preparations. I have had the honor of working with Dr. Brown throughout this year on various projects. She has an amazing gift as a motivator, and she is a true lover of humans. Welcome, Dr. Monica Brown.
Good morning, everyone. So a little bit about the Cobb Democracy Center. We are here because we are a social justice organization fighting for democracy and for the rights of all people. And when I say all people, I mean all people, because we know what it's like, and I know firsthand what it's like to be a marginalized person. It's trying to just stand up for just simple things in life. I mean, we're all living in this earth together, and we have to coexist. And so when I was approached to lead the Democracy Center, we said, this is what we're going to do. This is our approach. And so with the help of community, we really want to get deep into the community to find out what's going on. And as a background, as a researcher, it is important to know the needs of every community, because you can go one block to the next block and maybe a totally different need. So we're really digging down to talk to people. We have communication tools that we really like to utilize through phone banking. You can postcard. We can text. Like I said, when I say phone banking, most people think about, oh, you're stomping for a candidate. No, we use our phone banks to get across legislation and policies as they're impacting people, because it's important for people to know. And so that's something that I'm really excited about unwinding as we move through this day. So you all have helped us in the past with postcarding marginalized communities in the past. And as you know, primaries have moved up. Okay, so in March, their primaries are taking place in March, but a lot of people don't know that. So if you don't mind, we would ask for your support in that, but we're also right now working with local municipalities, because we want people to be empowered through the closer your local elected official is to you, the more impact it has on you. But we don't see the fanfare in the municipal elections like we do federal elections. So we're coming through to try to amp that up. So we're going to be working with Kennesaw, Smyrna, Powder Springs, Austell, and Ackworth. And so we'll have phone banks, texting, and things of that nature, community forums that will highlight the candidates. And so I think Kennesaw is October the 10th, and Powder Springs is scheduled for October the 5th. So if you're at any of these municipalities, please, 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 we'd like for you to get involved, do some little canvassing from time to time, just to reach out to our neighbors to let people know what's going on and to stay on that path of true social justice. I thank you for your time. I think Mary has some pamphlets if you're interested about what we do. I am always a phone caller to tell you, if you call me, I'm going to answer, or I'm going to text you back. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And it just feels like this is a second home away from home. Our church is down the street, and so I just really appreciate the time and thank you for sharing your basket with us.
Know that your gifts are received with care and gratitude, and know that these are not only gifts to turn the lights on and keep us housed, but to change the world itself. Thank you so much. And now Patricia Johnson invites anyone who would like to come up and see this story to come forward. And we've got lots of people in the room who might want to come up and see this wonderful book.
So good morning, everyone. The story that I'm going to be reading today is called Peace is an Offering by Annette LeBox. And as a little sidebar, I learned that this book was funded through Dolly Parton Imagination Library. Is anybody familiar with that? Yeah, it's really cool. She's been doing this since 1996. Peace is an offering, a muffin or a peach. A birthday invitation. A trip to the beach. Peace is gratitude for simple things. Light through a leaf, a dragonfly's wings. A kiss on the head, raindrops and dew, a walk in the park, a bowl of hot stew. Peace is holding on to one another. Peace is the words you say to a brother. See that one? That one over there. Will you stay with me? Will you be my friend? Will you listen to my story till the very end? Will you wait when I'm slow? Will you calm my fears? Will you sing to the sun to dry my tears? Will you keep me company when I'm all alone? Will you give me shelter when I've lost my home? You might find peace in a photograph or in the deep boom of a belly laugh. Yeah, belly laugh. And even in the wake of tragedy, even then you might find her in the rubble of a fallen tower, in the sorrow of your darkest hour, in the hat of a hero, in the loss of a friend. Peace is a joining, not a pulling apart. It's the courage to bear a wounded heart. It's a safe place to live. It's the freedom from fear. It's a kiss or a hug when you've lost someone dear. This one. So offer a cookie. Walk away from a fight. This one. Comfort a friend through the long, dark night. Sing a quiet song. Catch a falling star. May peace walk beside you wherever you are. Okay. That's the end. What are your thoughts about this story?
It represents peace, and it shows that you should never get into the fight. You should walk away from it and be kind to others.
Mm-hmm. Did everybody hear that? No. Okay. Do you want to repeat it? Do you want to stand up and repeat it? I say it. Okay. So what Garnett shared was that peace, my short-term memory is not good, people, is walk away from a fight, be calm. Is that?
Be kind.
And be kind.
Do the right thing.
Do the right thing.
Make people comfortable.
Make people comfortable. How do you make people comfortable?
Well, if you're moving in a new place, say stuff that it's say something that tell them about the place and
Bring them some cookies too, right? Yeah, cookies or brownies. Those are usually hits. Okay, shall we sing our song of dedication?
Please join me in the spirit of prayer and meditation. May you find a quiet place in your body, maybe feel gravity pulling you into your chair. Reverend Dr. Hope Johnson wrote these words called One Love. We are one. A diverse group of proudly kindred spirits, here not by coincidence, but because we choose to journey together. We are active and proactive. We care deeply. We live our love as best as we can. We are one. Working, eating, laughing, playing, singing, storytelling, sharing and rejoicing, getting to know each other, taking risks and opening up, questioning, seeking, and searching, trying to understand, struggling, making mistakes, paying attention, asking questions, listening, living our answers, learning to love our neighbors, and learning to love ourselves, apologizing and forgiving with humility, being forgiven through grace. Here, together, we create beloved community, and we are one. May our collective prayer today be that we offer each other grace by our presence. May all that we consider holy, from deep within ourselves to the other, may we extend grace with care and compassion. I pray this from deep within my heart. May it be so, and amen. love will always be our song. May that be the prayer of the day. Amen, we're done. Thank you. When I was a child, I remember the adults around me would remark about the memories of certain days, those momentous events that they remembered. Days like when Martin Luther King Jr. was killed, or the memory of the first person stepping onto the moon, or when Pearl Harbor was bombed and the U.S. entered formally into World War II. And I have dates such as these. My list includes the NASA's Challenger explosion. I remember where I was when I heard the Berlin Wall came down. Or watching the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina on TV. And also learning of the murder of a gay young man named Matthew Shepard. And I remember September 11th. And I know that the children and youth who are among us today, that were born in the last 1 or 2 decades, have their own list. Perhaps theirs include the killing of George Floyd and the beginning of the Black Lives Matter movement, the advent of school shootings and active shooter drills, the passing of marriage equality. I remember waking up my oldest and putting the pride flag over her as she woke up. Perhaps they too will remember one day the fall of Roe. These events, each in our own lives, shaped each one of us. They shaped our view of the world and our sense of safety or lack of. Often these events made us scared. Yet I want to highlight how when our lives have been changed by tragedy, and too often they do, we can and we do turn to each other. We turn to our communities of support and care. And in so doing, we reestablish our bonds of trust with each other. And we rebuild community, for it is our ultimate survival that rests on it. You might have noticed that the centering thought today in the order of service is from a children's book. It's for one of my favorites. It's called The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. And I promise you in the future you'll see it, because it's a joy. The horse says in the book, everyone is a bit scared, but we are less scared together. Tomorrow is the 22nd anniversary of the events of September 11th. This is a date that will not be forgotten in the history of this country, because the effects of this day reverberate in our culture, in our politics, and in our foreign policy still. And those who are here, who learn about it in school, even though it was a day after they might have been born, understand that this is a day in which we reflect on being in community when hard things happen. Teaching our children that building community is an important thing. And I want to remind you about that too. I remember September 11th, 2001 like it was yesterday. It's one of those days on my list. I can still remember exactly where I was in my house. I'd like to share that story with you a little bit today. Do you remember when cameras that used film had a date in the corner that you could put in the corner. I have some of those photos of me and my family from the year with those date stamps on it. I have a photo to share now. That's me very young at the age of 31. This one is marked on the corner September 8th, 2001. And on that Saturday night, I was at my cousin's wedding in Boston, Massachusetts, with my sleepy 13-month-old daughter on my lap. And I had flown to Boston with 5 of the family members: me, my daughter, my mother, my sister, and my uncle. And there's another photo coming in just a second. There we are in the airplane. My uncle took a photo of us, and we're flying home on September 9th. You'll see in the next picture, it looks like a normal day at home. You can see on the bottom right, 9/11/01. It was Tuesday morning and what seemed like a normal day of taking care of a toddler and preparing for work. But the news came on of what was happening in DC and New York and Pennsylvania, and it changed everything. The schools were closed. Work was on hold. I lived near a medical center, and we were told not to leave our home. My heart and mind were clouded with the memory that 5 of my family members were on a plane that left Boston 48 hours before, like the other flights that left Boston on September 11th. I was in shock and closeness to the tragedy. Yet that morning, we did what we had to do. We took care of our little family. And that was our little toddler, now a grown woman, who was unaware of the changing world around her from that day forward and into the decades to come. Today, 22 years later, I imagine that those born before that day remember where you were. Do you remember? Some of you were affected in personal and tragic ways. And to remember this might bring up trauma. Some of you may not know, but our own Emerson member, Claude Flavian, was actually working in the second tower that day. He left the tower right beforehand. He said 20 to 30 minutes, is that right, Claude? Along with a group of coworkers. And Claude, we are so grateful for the gift you bring the world still, and that you were able to get out safely. May the memories of that day and the trauma it elicits lessen over the years. And for others here, so much did change that day, and we as Americans lost our sense of security. It was a fearful time. We heard over and over again, nothing will be the same again. And yes, everything did change. UU Minister Reverend Lynn Unger wrote about it this way. She said, on 9/11, the U.S. suffered the same kind of loss as countries who had been ravaged by all kinds of religious and nationalistic violence that had devastated other communities for centuries. All the years before, we read about Bosnia or Palestine or Libya and thought with compassion, those poor people. And we went on with our lives without much changing. Violence on that scale is a tragedy, but it was not our tragedy. It was not something that specifically touched our own lives. She says more, that's how we get through immense hardships. We all know people who have lost dearest ones to murder, to heart attack, to the slow ravages of cancer or the sudden accident. And our hearts ache, but they don't break, because we hold on to that illusion that it won't happen to us. It won't happen to the ones who we know we can't live without. We can't afford for everything to be different anytime that tragedy strikes around us, or we simply wouldn't be able to function. And so, our prayer of comfort for those bereaved sometimes is a silent prayer of thanks that this time it wasn't us. But eventually, the terrible lightning strikes close enough to home do come. And it turns out that we are not immune, not protected by God or virtue or customary privilege. And when the World Trade Center towers came down, many of us felt our own defenses kind of crumbling around us. And everything changed, because we had to come face to face with such a grand scale that tragedy could be at our doorstep. And then we had to figure out how to respond. We had to decide if we would build back our personal defenses through going on attack, following the illusion that we could simply exterminate anyone that was a possible threat. We would declare that some were a set of bad people so that we could recreate the illusion of safety by locking up those people, literally or metaphorically. And we would build more walls. We would choose safety over freedom and aggression over attentive listening. Did we do this? Yes, we did. Because our leaders and many Americans decided that anything was better than simply dwelling in the knowledge that we often are not safe, and that tragedy can befall us, and that loss lurks around every corner. We wanted to hold on to that measure of safety. And after all these years, I hope that we can search for that security with a greater sense of rationality and perhaps even a greater sense of compassion that we were able to muster in the wake of the towers falling. Lynn Unger wrote a prayer, and in that prayer she said, I hope that we can remember some of the things we have learned in the intervening years since 9/11. That striking back at the wrong target doesn't help. That the enemy of the bad guy isn't always the good guy. That it's far easier to respond than to control the effect of our response. And that complex problems don't often have simple answers. She concludes, ultimately, our greatest security lies not in our attempts to make sure that tragedy never strikes, but rather in our ability to hold and care and help each other when hard times come. And this is what we need to teach our children. And when they learn about September 11th in school, I hope that what they teach them is that peace is an offering. Look to the helpers, Fred Rogers says, and find the grass piercing through the concrete. There was a musical written about September 11th. Can you imagine? A musical with laughter and with joy. How could that be? But let me tell you this amazing story. This musical was called Come From Away. It was the telling of a remarkable tale, a true story. There was a small town of Gander, Newfoundland. It was a town of less than 9,000 people. And Gander welcomed the whole world that day. A little bit out of choice. Not out of choice. 38 planes flying internationally were diverted to their airport on September 11th when the U.S. airspace was closed down for the first time in its history. And this musical tells the tale of a story how the size of their population almost doubled. 7,000 angry, confused, terrified passengers from all over the world descended upon them. And in response, they put up people in their homes and in their schools and in their community centers. They went to their stores and took all the things off the shelf, such as toiletries and diapers and sanitary napkins and food. The citizens of Gander made 3 meals a day for those stuck there for 4 days. Can you imagine? For 7,000 people, they gave them air mattresses and hand-me-downs of clothing and showers. I'm sure they all needed showers. They tried to communicate in languages that were not their own, and they kept the animals that were stowed in the bottoms of the airplanes alive. And did you know that even included a pregnant bonobo monkey? They helped get the passengers' phones so that they could call home to their loved ones and let them know that they were alive and well. The musical, which shared how the town of Gander distracted people with jokes. They sang karaoke. They danced with them in the town bar. And they found places for Jews and Muslims and Christians to pray together. They found translators in multiple languages and generally opened their homes and their hearts to strangers from all over the world. One of the cast members said, "This show is not about the sadness of September 11th. It is about the goodness that came from it." One really amazing scene was about a frightened man from an embattled African nation on a bus with his wife in rural Newfoundland, being taken to who knows where from a plane that had landed very far from its destination. And as the bus rolled up, it was greeted by a group of people in Salvation Army uniforms. To him, this frightened man, it looked like a sea of soldiers in the darkness. The bus driver stops and motions for the passengers to get off, and the frightened man and his wife don't move. He doesn't understand the bus driver's language. He does not trust him. And the bus driver has to think quickly. He sees that the wife is holding a Bible under her arm. He asks for it, and she hands it to him nervously. Then the bus driver realizes that the Bible is not written in his own language, but he quickly thinks that certainly the chapters and the verses are the same in her language as it is in his. He flips to Philippians, and he points to chapter 4 and finds verse 6, something that he knew in his own heart. And that verse was, "Be anxious for nothing." Now they speak the same language, and I'm tearing up thinking about it. Relieved, the frightened man and his wife can trust and get off the bus. This musical, this story is a cathartic reminder of the capacity for human kindness, even in the darkest of times and in the triumph of humanity over hate. And like the people of Gander, Newfoundland on September 11th, we too can learn how to build community when we are struck with fear, uncertainty, and tragedy. We must reach for each other with compassion. Compassion is the gift we give each other. The principle of compassion lies at the heart of all religious, ethical, and spiritual traditions. Compassion calls us to treat each other as we wish to be treated ourselves, simply put. Compassion impels us to alleviate the suffering of others. It is born of deep interdependence, and compassion is essential in human relationships. It is the path to enlightenment and is indispensable to the creation of a peaceful global community. I believe wholeheartedly that we as Unitarian Universalists try to hold the complexities of life intact and let our principles guide us through that complexity. So on the anniversary of 9/11, tomorrow, let us all redirect ourselves to working for compassion and to give the gift of peace to ourselves and to each other in all the ways that we can. May we move forward together with a spirit of renewal and commitment to building community. May we teach our children the many ways in which we can do this. For this is how we get through. And when the tears fall, we reach for each other and we hold on tight. This is how we get through. Will you rise in body or in voice and join together in singing with me number 346 in your gray hymnal? Come sing a song with me.
Hope
The closing words this morning come deep from within my heart. May we reach for each other in times when we need hope and share love with each other. May it come from a sense of grace. And if that grace comes from afar, or that comes from our neighbor, or that comes from the light that we know and feel from within, may grace abound all around us as we move forward through our days. And Michael, would you come forward and help me put out the chalice? Would you join with me in the final words? We extinguish this chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and out into the world until we are together again.
And the announcements, we have as always, or hopefully always, sermon reflections in the sanctuary today. In room 125, we have the Buddhist group. In 103, the Justice Room, we have the new options to fund environmental projects for churches and individuals. And in, I believe it's 129, what is the boardroom? 126? It's the boardroom. The one in the very end down there across from the fellowship room, we have UU history. I believe that's it.
I think we have one more.
We do? I thought that's what that was. Or did we have something? Oh, we got that one. That one, didn't see that one. Let's see. According to the latest census of the U.S. Hispanic population is 62.1 million. Mid-September through mid-October has chosen to celebrate National Hispanic Heritage Month because September 5th is the anniversary of the independence for the Latin American countries of Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Nicaragua. I'm surprised I got through all that. In addition, Mexico and Chile celebrate their Independence Days on September 16th and September 18th. We'll have a small selection of books for Hispanic and Latino culture and heritage in the Emerson Library. Isn't that the same as the boardroom?
It is.
Okay. So I guess that's what the U.S. history was. Okay. Okay. Yep. And that's it. As our service ends, go in peace and take peace wherever you go. I always like those last.